tonight, it is all about voiceovers. This is really exciting. It's an area that we here at Studiospares have been very interested in, especially since the pandemic, where there seems to be a real rush to join the industry. So we thought we'd try and find somebody wonderful to help us through this rather interesting subject. So tonight, joining us is the hugely talented voiceover artist, actress, writer, and award-winning entrepreneur, Rachael Naylor. Her credits are scattered across TV, film, and theatre, and has worked with names including Hayley Atwell and Derek Jacobi, no less. And if you're a Virgin Media user, then you'll probably recognize Rachael's golden vocal tones as their main telephone voice. Rachael is also the founder of the VoiceOver Network, for which Studiospares is a very, very proud sponsor. So welcome and good evening, Rachael. Are you with us?
Hello,
hey,
hello.
Rachael.
Yay, I'm
How
here.
Are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very, very good. Have you had a good week? Been up to anything exciting?
Yes, I've had a really good week. Yeah, it's kind of been really intense, lots going on, but it's exciting. I always think this time of year is just such a wonderful time of year where it's kind of like we're all back in the swing of things after the, summer break and getting geared up towards the Christmas.
Let's not talk about Christmas yet.
Don't mention the word, but yeah, no, it's lovely to be here tonight. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thank you for joining us. I've obviously joined you on some of your VoiceOver Network webinars and actually nights out. You've had some really good virtual drinks, which I have to tell you, it's just brilliant. They've been really good fun. And we talked about gear and voiceovers and all sorts. So it's been very interesting. So we I'm going to dive straight in, if that's all right, Rachael, because this is a really hot topic, and we get lots of questions about voiceovers and voiceover gear all the time, especially since a pandemic. So can you just define what a voiceover artist is for us to start with?
Gosh, yes. What is a voiceover artist? So voiceover artist is somebody who uses their voice professionally for companies. So we record, and that can be anything from commercials to promos to video games, animation, audiobooks, e-learning. So any voices that you hear, voices in a lift, on your phone, in the car, those are all voiceover artists who have been in a studio and have recorded. And the definition, I guess, of a professional voiceover artist is someone who gets paid to do it. So but it's using your voice to communicate, and I think that's something that people, we can all talk, right? We've all got voices, and same way as we now all have phones with cameras on, so we can all take photos. But being a voiceover artist, it's all about communication. So it's about being a really good communicator, and you do need to have acting skills as well, and you need to be able to connect through the microphone. So yeah.
And I suppose the world of voiceovers, I mean, the actual industry must have expanded so much over the last few years, because I think we all associate, or I certainly at the beginning associated voiceovers with, TV adverts, and that was a voiceover. But of course, that spread through radio and right through to online now. I mean, you can get a voiceover gig on YouTube, I suppose, even voicing a product video right through.
Yeah. I mean,
so
absolutely.
How has that expanded since you've been doing it? How have you seen the industry expand?
I mean, it's exploded. So I came into the industry 20 years ago, and it was very, very different back then. It looked totally different. You didn't have a home studio unless you were seriously rich, and you had to have an agent. So those were two things that were big blocks in the early days of my career, and it was very difficult to find information. There was no community, there was no training, and so now it's wonderful because you've got you can have a home studio, and I can't remember where I was going with this. Remind me the question you just asked me.
Well, I was just saying, did you have a good week last week? No.
Yes, no.
I was just asking how the industry has.
The industry's changed.
Expanded.
That's it. Yes, exploded. Yes. So I mean, things like the video game industry has just gone nuts, and the video game industry is worth more than music and movies combined. It's just massive. E-learning, that's a part of the industry that, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's billions, it's worth billions, and it's just growing and growing and growing. Think about audiobooks. I mean, every book now, it's nearly every book that's being published has an audiobook going alongside it. I mean, you think all the books that have ever been need to be turned into audiobooks. I mean, that is a huge amount of work. The world that we live in is audiovisual, so everything has a voice, from your phone to your TV to some people's lights in the house. You get into your car, in a lift, there are voices all around us, and those are all people.
And actually, a good example of that, I suppose, is telephones. I mean, just our mobiles, of which you were you were and still are the Virgin Media voice, aren't you?
I am.
So,
I am the voice of Virgin Media, which is
I have to tell everybody watching this, because I rang Rachel the other day, and it went to her answer phone, and you very politely said, "Hi, Rachel here.
Yes.
I'm not available. Leave a message." And then it went to the automated part to say, leave your message, and then you can hit number 2 or whatever it is to re-record your message. And then I realized that was you as well.
It's quite weird.
So how many sort of elements did you have to record to do all these particular voicings for the telephone side of things?
Wow. Well, so the Virgin Media gig, I mean, I've been the voice of Virgin Media for probably about 17 years, I guess. And I actually recorded every week for them for 13 years.
Wow. Okay.
Which was, quite incredible. So, I mean, they've got a lot of me. And I did towards the latter stage of it. I mean, I still do the odd bit, but I very rarely record for them, because they managed to get me in for, I think it was about 2 weeks. I went in every day and recorded every single version of every word, and I came out at the end of oh my gosh, it was like I'd come out of those sessions and I couldn't talk, because my brain had stopped working, and I was in a kind of, am I talking higher or lower or medium? It was very odd. But it's been a fun job, and I mean it still catches me off guard when I call people and it's me on their answer phone. And you think after 17 years you get used to it. But I'll tell you a funny little story about the Virgin Media thing, because I always thought, right, I'm not going to sign up to Virgin Media because it'll be weird, right? Yeah. If I have a problem and I have to call up and listen to myself telling myself, I just thought it'd be odd. So I was with Sky for years. Then I had problems with Sky. So I thought, right, no, I'll go, I'll move, I'll get Virgin. So I signed up with Virgin Media, and I was like, okay, they'll be fine. And there was a day I was on a train, and it was a really hot day, and I managed to get on the train, Waterloo, and it was a packed train, and I got a seat, and I sat there, and it was hot, and it was irritating, and everybody was irritating, and my phone rang, and it was me calling myself, telling myself about the installation. And honestly, it was like a proper Twilight Zone. I completely freaked out. I was like, so odd.
Oh dear.
But
oh well.
No,
you just have to avoid Virgin from now on. So this is actually quite interesting, though. I suppose a big question, I've certainly had in the past is that, to do this job, you talked about being an actor as well as a voiceover actress, and that gives you a big advantage. So do you have to be formally trained? I mean, should you go through some kind of training to be a voiceover actor?
Yes. So, I mean, the thing is, there are usually sort of two types, and this isn't definite. There are usually two types of people who come into voiceover. So it's usually actors or broadcasters. They're the main people that come into voiceovers, but there are others, and there's a pilot at the moment in the network. We've got teachers, we've got lawyers. There are lots of different people who come into voiceovers. When I started out in voiceovers, there wasn't formal training and everybody was flying by the seat of their pants and, you know, hoping that they got it right. But we are now in the situation that there is more voiceover work now than there has ever been. I mean, the industry's exploded, but there are more voiceover artists now than there have ever been. And so you can't get by with just winging it. And we have training, so there is training. So here at the VoiceOver Network, we do a lot of courses. We have a lot of information, and I'm really, really passionate about sharing information and bringing people together, because I never had that in the early days of my career. And I did not have an easy run of it coming into voiceovers. I got rejected time and time again from the agents. They kept saying, no, you know, you're not allowed in, this is not for you. And I remember just feeling like there was this big heavy oak door, like I couldn't get in, but I kept going, and I managed to get in. And I made lots of mistakes in the early days of my career. And I really feel like it's my responsibility to help other people so they don't have to go through that. And they don't have to it doesn't have to be years and years of them struggling and being rejected and making mistakes. I feel like I should be sharing that information and helping other people on their journeys.
So do you think, so I suppose in some ways there's a lot of similarities with the music industry, and that, and I'm sure that there are many musicians on this call now will understand this. But you know, in the real early days, we had to have a manager, you had to have an agent, you know, for gigs, and you had to then, you know, work with a given record company to get any form of success. And of course, that's all changed. Most of it's gone digital. And even the lovely Rob here, who works with us, who's got an album out and he's cutting his own vinyls and doing all sorts. So, and so everybody works. I mean, that's probably the whole world is changing in that way. And it's just each industry is slotting in a slightly different way, or reaching their target in a slightly different way, I would guess. So, so how would you say it's different from your early days? Because obviously you were saying about the agency, for the agent side of things. I mean, do you still use an agent now?
I do. And I'm incredibly grateful. I think agents do a wonderful job. But the thing is, you don't have to have an agent anymore. Right. So you can get work yourself, and you can go out and start marketing yourself and go and get your own clients. And that's really exciting. And it means that you have a lot more control over your career and over your voiceover business, because it's very much a business being a voiceover artist. And you really need to learn about being, you know, having a business and look at it as a business. And I think that for me was a big changing point when I started to view it as a business, as opposed to, you know, just kind of seeing what happened. I do have agents. I've got an agent in the UK, with excellent talent in the UK, and with DPN talent in America, and I'm in Tadar VoiceWorks in Canada, and that's wonderful, because I have stuff coming in, different things coming in, and it is exciting. So yes, having an agent is great for the higher level stuff, you know, the bigger jobs. But as I said, you don't have to have an agent anymore. And when I started in the industry, yes, it was very much like you had to have an agent, and they kept saying no to me again and again and again. So I actually went, right, well, I'm just going to go and get my own work, which back then was really kind of unheard of. But I'm one of those people that when I decide I'm going to do something, there's no stopping me. So
I've worked that out already. So with your agent then, can you pick and choose where work is concerned, or does everything have to now go through your agent? Like your UK agent, for example, no matter what work you get, does it have to go through that agent, or can you use the agent for some work and pick up your own work at the same time?
Yeah, so different agents work differently. And I think that's really, really important for anyone who's watching, who's thinking about getting an agent. You need to do your research, because they do work differently. I'm very grateful. My agents are all very much like, when you get your own work, that's your work. Right. And when we get you work, we take a cut. And if you get your own work and you want us to negotiate for you, then they will take a smaller cut. So that for me is perfect. But there are different agents have different, you know, some of them want exclusivity, some of them don't. So yeah, there are lots of different types of agents out there, and it's just really, really important that you talk to them and you're open and you're honest with them. That's something that's really, really important when because getting an agent, you know, I think coming as an actor, I think actors, we tend to kind of, oh, we need an agent, I need an agent. And actually in voiceovers, you really need to, it's a partnership. You're creating a partnership with the agent. So you need to pick them. You need to do your research, and you're coming together as a partnership. So yes, that's really important.
I suppose then also there are certain agents that work within a particular section within the industry, i.e. one might be great in gaming and the next one might be great in voicing films or whatever the case may be, one in advertising. Is that the case, or do agents, are they able to sort of work across all of those sort of categories?
I think if you ask any agent, they'd be like, we do anything.
Right. Okay, yeah.
But there are agents that have better connections in certain areas. Yeah. And I, it's always good to do your research and have a look and see who they've got on their books and ask other voiceover artists. I really think that connecting and networking in the voiceover industry is so important. You meet other voiceover artists, find out who their agents are, who they're working with, who they like. And also in terms of the kinds of voiceover work that you want to be doing, I often say to people, well, if you want to be doing, AAA video games, find out who the voice actors are who are doing those games and who represents them.
Yeah.
And then those are the agents that you want to be going with. Or if it's audiobooks or, so that's a kind of good way of looking at it.
Excellent. So let me go back. You mentioned earlier, which was quite interesting, is I suppose you also deliver your voiceovers maybe in a different way than you might have done as well 20 years ago, because obviously it was all about studios and Soho was alive with post houses and voiceover facilities, and as it sort of is now. But of course pandemic had a massive effect on that as well. But so I suppose now you have to you can record at home, of course, and then deliver your voiceovers directly just on a file. How do you do it?
Well, so there are different ways in terms of working from your home studio. So, but yeah, we're so lucky that we're able to have home studios and able to have, and it's affordable now, as opposed to back in the day when it was all very expensive. So, I mean, gosh, and with the pandemic, we were ready. The voiceover industry was ready for the pandemic. When live action and theatre had to stop, we were able to continue and carry on because we can keep working. People can work remotely. So in terms of working from your home studio, there are a couple of different ways that it works. So when you get voiceover jobs, you'll often be contacted by a client, or you'll contact them. They'll ask you about a job. You might audition, then you'll get into a negotiation if they like you about rates, how much you're going to charge, and then you'll talk about how it's going to be recorded. And there are a couple of different ways. So one way is that they'll send you the script. And they'll say, okay, I need the recording back within 24 hours or 48 hours or in a week. Usually it's not usually a week, it's usually 48 hours or 24 hours, or the time frame of things being recorded is getting shorter and shorter.
I need it yesterday.
We want it yesterday. Yes, absolutely. Yes, especially promos. I mean, gosh, promos are just like, so they'll send you the script. You will then go into your studio and you will self-direct. You will record it, you will edit it, and then you will send them the WAV file via WeTransfer or something. Then they will listen, make sure that everything's fine, and then you send your invoice. Happy days. So that's one way of doing it. There is also the being live directed. So when you get directed, and there are two types of being directed. So one is that they send you the script, they listen in via Zoom or phone or Skype, you record on your end, they direct you, you chat to them, they say yep, but usually I just press record the whole time, and then I'll go back and I'll edit out bits and then send them the file afterwards. Or the third way is that it's a live directed session where they tap into you tap into their studio, and this used to be done by ISDN. That was the popular way to do that, and that that was very clunky. I mean, some people still use ISDN, where you have a phone line in your house, in your studio, that connects to other studios, and they have to dial in, and it's quite expensive. But now we have all these amazing platforms like Source Connect, IPDTL, Session Pro. There are a bunch of different ones. And so what happens with that would usually be you would be sent the script. They would then send you a link. You would tap into that link. They would press record on their end, and you would have a sound engineer and a director, and sometimes a bunch of clients. You will record the script. They'll give you directions, but they'll be recording their end, which is always really nice. Because I remember I was in a session once, and I was doing the recording on my end, and it was for a big job. So I was quite amazed that they didn't have a sound engineer. And then there was a moment where the clients, quite high-end clients, started going, okay, yeah, no, could we just listen back to take 10, 15, 26, 38, I was like that. Yeah, no, I'm not a sound engineer, and I don't pretend to be a sound engineer. I am a voice actor, and that's my skill. And I press record and I press stop. I don't jump around, but yes. So, but normally, those are the 3 types of sessions.
Right. Okay. And I suppose the more experienced you are, and the more of a track record you have, the more they're going to trust you to do your own work and send it in. I would guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it also depends on their budgets as well, and all those kinds of things. So, but it's a fun. It's the best job, honestly.
I can imagine.
I love being a voiceover artist. I love you never know what's coming from day to day, sometimes from hour to hour, and you can be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really quiet, and then suddenly bam, an amazing job comes in. And it's exciting.
Excellent. So can I just touch on the gear a bit more as well? Because what the nice thing, I suppose, for many musicians is they'll have a lot of the gear already. So when pandemic broke, and we just got a flood of phone calls, especially from voiceover artists, agents and everything, saying, listen, we have a whole bunch of work that needs to be done, and we need to get this actor, this actress, and so forth. We need to get them the gear over there very quickly, so they can, they can start working, because we could be in this pandemic, who knows, for maybe 6 or 8 weeks. In those days, so it was an interesting time. But what's interesting, I suppose, for a lot of musicians, and I say this because I know there's a lot of musicians on this evening, is they have a lot of the gear already. So there's a lot of crossover in the gear. So you use an audio interface the same as many musicians do. So you use Audience, don't you? So
I do. Yes.
I think I even have one here, and ID4. Is it one of these chaps?
That's the one. Yes, that's the one. The ID14. Yes. So it's beautiful.
And because it's effectively, it's you just got one mic line in. That's all you need, because you're a voiceover artist. So something as simple as the ID4 is good enough for the job. In fact, it's actually really good, isn't it? There's a really nice mic pre on there, and it sounds wonderful. Microphones are always a flavor, I would guess. And I know you used a range over your time. Was it you telling me earlier that you used a Rode NT2 for God knows how long?
Oh my gosh, I had the Rode NT2. That was the first mic I ever bought, and it stayed with me. Until fairly recently.
Right.
It's a fantastic mic that I used for a long time. So
and it's and I know you use SE X1 now, and maybe a couple of others as well, but and that was about flavor. That was about just finding the right mic that sounded best with your voice. And was there any element of versatility about the mic? So you knew that when you in dynamics, so to speak, if you were talking quietly or you were belting something out, it still gave you a good sound across those dynamics. Was that a big thing for you, or on the whole do you work at one sort of dynamic?
I think it was just it was a change in room. So I moved house, so I had a different studio, and I tested a few different microphones. And it is that interesting thing that sometimes people think the more expensive the microphone the better, but actually sometimes depending on the acoustics in the room, that sometimes a cheaper mic actually sounds better. And in the room that I'm recording at currently, the SE Electronics X1 has been brilliant, and it's a fantastic microphone. But I've got a few others that I use as well, and you know, I'm lucky enough to be able to have some choice, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm going to drop this in, I'm sorry, because this is a bit of a chance for everybody as well. So I'm using the Imperative Audio Vocaster here, which I think you're familiar with. And this is actually,
yes, beautiful.
Yes, this is actually a dynamic mic, and which is retails at I'll just talk to my my sister, 149 normally. We have got a little FET pre on there, but and we know that there's a lot of artists using this style of microphone. And in fact, if anybody's interested in this particular microphone, and this is only going to be for those that are on the webinar tonight, we are doing the Vocaster we're going to offer you 30% off the mic. Ooh. So what does that make it, chaps? Did we work that out? 104 instead of 149 is 105, and you'll get free delivery with that as well. Ooh. So, and I think, what's the code for that? It's voice 30. So VOICE 30. You're going to put that in the room. So if there's something interesting, go and check it out, because it is a great versatile mic used in the correct room and so forth, as you were saying. But the nice thing about this particular mic as well is because it's dynamic, it's not as sensitive as a condenser, so you can do all sorts of different vocals on there, including singing as well, by the way, very much like an SM7B. Acoustics as well. Acoustics is a big thing, and I know you and I have spoken a lot about acoustics, and I think I've even spoken to some of your guys about acoustics as well. And I can see over to your right, our left,
there it is,
the PVB, and we have one back here as well. So just tell us a little bit about that, Rachel, because you obviously, it was either find a solution like that or treat the whole of your room, wasn't it? I think that
yeah. I mean, and yeah, as you said, so I recently moved, and in my old house, I had a purpose-built booth, which I couldn't take with me when I moved. And yes, and I remember I was trying to think of solutions and trying to get a booth in here and all sorts of things. It was really, really tricky. And then I found out about your beautiful piece of equipment, the PVB, and it's been amazing, and it really it fits nicely in there. Really lovely sound. And
have you used it have you used it on sessions already?
Yeah, lots of sessions, loads of sessions.
Can you tell us anything? Are you allowed?
I'm just an anime that's just come out, so Moriarty the Patriots.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is out now, so I'm in that. Which is very exciting. That's on Funimation, so that's just come out. I think I'm allowed to say there's a global ad out coming out. I think I'm allowed to say Pfizer. Well, there we go.
Nobody
Pfizer.
say
Anyway,
anything.
something to do with Pfizer.
Okay.
That I know it's very topical, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. Somewhat.
Yes. And what else? Yeah, there's been lots of things I've done in my booth. I'm trying to think of other ones. The anime was a lot of fun, and that was hilarious because I had to do some screaming, full on screaming. Yeah, right. I was a bit worried that my neighbours might call the police.
What's your husband being loaded into the back of a police car?
Yeah, I know. So
right,
funny.
okay.
So yeah,
oh wow.
But yes, it's been used for lots of great voiceover jobs.
Fantastic. Look, let's just get back to the business side of things with voiceovers. So I'll talk about gear all night. That's the problem. So I'm having to stop myself. So I do apologize. So actually, if you put the PVB into the group so people can check that out should they want to. So go and check it out for yourselves.
Yes,
guys.
do. It's amazing.
Now, obviously, I know about the VoiceOver Network, which is just an amazing organization that you put together, and you must be incredibly proud of what you've done. But just tell everybody about it, because it is a really interesting project. Oh, and it's a whole network now, isn't it?
It is.
So tell us about it.
Thank you. So the VoiceOver Network it's a membership organization for voiceover professionals around the world to come together to help and support each other. And the story, I'll give you the story of how it started. So I'm a voice actor, and got into the industry a long time ago, and I found myself, when was it, 2013, feeling quite disconnected, lonely, struggling, wanted to find out information, wanted to connect with other people, and there was nothing going on. And I think through social media I could see there's quite a bit going on in the States, and I thought, well, why have we not got anything happening here? And so I just started a little meetup group, and I remember I went for a drink with 3 other voiceover artists in Richmond, West London, and we had a few drinks, but we had a really great talk. We talked about agents, we talked about marketing, about home studios. And I thought, wow, this is really useful. We should do this more often. So I started this little meetup group, and it was originally called the West London Voiceover Artist Meetup Group, which, let's be honest, is a bit of a rubbish name. I don't even know what the acronym. Yes, it just, yeah. Anyway, so it was just a monthly meetup in West London. And then people from other parts of London started getting in contact saying, oh, do you have to live in West London? Like, can I come? I live in North London. And I was like, yeah, sure, anyone can come. We're just going to the pub. And it just grew and grew. And then I decided to make it Central London, so that people could come. I came to my senses and changed the name, and that's it was beginning of 2014. It became the VoiceOver Network, and it was a monthly meetup in a bar. We used to go to Jerry's Actors Club on Dean Street every month, and then it snowballed, and then we started getting speakers. And 2014 was a really interesting year in the voiceover industry. It just suddenly exploded. The cat was out of the bag. Suddenly there were lots of people coming into the industry, lots of people in the industry getting very cross, like, oh, get off my land and all that kind of stuff. And I could see all this going on, and I saw some really horrible things happening in some Facebook groups. And I thought I could carry on bumbling along, doing my thing, or I could try and make a difference and stick my head above the parapet and be like, okay. And I was very lucky. I was involved with some entrepreneur groups, and I had an amazing mentor who encouraged me and gave me the confidence to do it. And so I launched the VoiceOver Network at the beginning of 2015, so nearly 7 years ago, as a membership organization, in order to help support and strengthen the voiceover industry, because I recognized there was no safe place for voiceover professionals to come together to get the right advice, to get the best training, to help each other, and to raise standards in the industry. And that's ultimately what I wanted to do. And I do think back to then, 7 years ago, it was just me and a part-time assistant, and I was 9 weeks pregnant as well when I launched. I mean, it was all completely bananas, but I had a dream, and I had a vision, and I feel like, I'm so proud of the fact that, I've stuck with it. I mean, it's not been an easy ride. It's been quite the roller coaster. And, there was a lot of things I didn't know when I started it, but I believed in what I was doing, and I still believe in what I'm doing, because I know that we've made a massive impact on so many people's lives. And that ultimately is what it's all about. It's about helping people to have the careers that they deserve and that they dream of, and have the businesses and follow their dreams. And that ultimately affects their families. And there's, that's what I love.
What I've seen from the outside, because obviously I'm not a voiceover artist,
yes.
So what I saw very quickly was not only that there was, good sort of experience and help there on real practical matters, but it was almost like a support network.
Yes.
And it's actually those, I think it was VOND, you called it, wasn't it? VoiceOver Network drinks.
Yes.
Which was that just a pandemic thing? Was that?
No, so the VOND, so the
VoiceOver Network, a lot?
It came from the drinks. So it came from us going to the pub, and that was where the VoiceOver Network started. Was once a month, going to the pub, having a few drinks. And so that's really the foundation of the VoiceOver Network, is VoiceOver Network drinks. And then, you know, we launched it, became a membership. We carried on doing the once a month drinks. Then we started doing bigger events. So we have a couple of bigger events. We do something called Get Your Game On, which is a video game conference that's focused on voice acting video games. And we that's mainly been in London, but we did do it in LA at the beginning of 2020. In fact, it was the 29th of February, 2020, the last event to end all events before the world shut down. It was very odd. And we also have an event, a voiceover conference called Above and Beyond, which is about taking your business above and beyond. But the bond thing is kind of a bit of a, we love all that. So it's, you know, and then when the pandemic hit, we pulled all our in-person stuff and we just took everything online. And it was really, really interesting because we had grown, we were already growing globally, but we had, you know, our main base had been London because that's where we started and that's where I'm based. So that's where we did our events mainly. And we had started doing some stuff in LA. But now, because we went completely online and we started doing these monthly virtual VONs for our members, we then started we do the VoiceOver Hour live webinars every Wednesday, and I interview different guests. We do a lot of online workshops. We have a podcast as well. We have an amazing Facebook group where everybody's really supportive of each other. Lots of discounts.
You've had some pretty amazing sort of industry guests as well, haven't you? I mean, you've had people from Hollywood and all sorts, haven't you? So
we do. We had, oh my gosh, it was this year we had Kevin Raya and Natalie Lyon, who are the casting directors for Pixar Animation Studios.
Okay, well, that's not bad, is it?
It was amazing. It was amazing, and we've it was royalty, really. I was
going to say that's like having, you know, Elton John and Simon Cowell turning up at your gig. It's just like so brilliant. Well, look, listen, there's a whole bunch of questions that we've had here from everybody, which I'd like to go into. But before we do that, I know that you've been really, really kind, and you set up a bit of an offer to our guests here tonight. So why don't we just go through that offer a little bit, and then we'll come back and ask some questions, and then, you know, people can take it from there.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So, and you've got not one offer, two really exciting offers.
People.
So tell us all about it, Rachel.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so you guys, thank you everybody for joining us tonight, and it really is, or this morning, because I know there's people all around the world. So what I would like to do, I've got two things for you. Firstly, if you would like to come and be part of the VoiceOver Network membership, as I said before, you get access to lots of recordings. I mean, 7 years worth of recordings of webinars with industry guests, amazing industry guests. You get discounts on all our partners' products and services. We do a monthly workout group, a workshop. We do a voice reel critiques. You get one-to-one with a sound engineer. There's tons going on.
You get discounts from us as well, actually.
Yes.
There's all sorts of
members. There we go. Yes, because you're one of our partners. So it's normally a £49 joining fee, which is $65 and then it's £29 a month, which is $39. But for you guys, because you're awesome, we're actually going to remove the joining fee completely. Right. Then I thought, you know what, let's just give you the first month for free. So there we go. Okay. So let's be clear here. There's no joining fee at all. No.
First month free. So you can get in there and check it out and have access. So it's immediate access to all your resources.
Yes. And including the Buzz magazine, which is the only magazine in the world dedicated to the voiceover industry. So it's a quarterly magazine filled with amazing articles, interviews, reviews. So you get access to that as well. So for absolutely free. So I think you're going to put the link in now. All you need to do, guys, is use the coupon code is VON Trial. So VONTRIAL. VON Trial. There we go.
Our production team should have put that in there for you now. I assume that's all been done.
Excellent,
yeah.
excellent. So that's really exciting. And I just,
So yeah,
my
and
thing
I would
is
just
that
say, if
yeah,
I can just say about that,
yeah,
because I know there's a lot of questions about starting off,
yes,
and people have not done it before. I mean, this is
okay,
just such a good place to start.
yes,
And don't get me wrong, we're here to sell gear, by the way. That's what Studiospares does, and you are very welcome to buy anything from us. But I would highly recommend, if you're trying to get into the industry, that you go and visit Rachel and just tap into this brilliant facility. So anyway, that's your first offer, and then tell us about the second one.
And then the second one. Now, the second one is for people who are just starting out. Now, so I mean, the VoiceOver Network, yes, there's lots of information, and you'll get access to lots of information, which is amazing. And you also, Alan, who is our business development manager, he'll do a webinar with you and take you through how to make the most of your membership. A complete guide to getting started in voiceovers is an online workshop that we run 3 or 4 times a year. And this is a comprehensive guide to getting started in voiceovers. This is all about you building the foundations of your voiceover business. I started it 4 years ago because I wanted to share the right information. I wanted people to have a solid foundation, because so many people come into the industry, get their voice reels made, and then, what do we do next? And so on this course, it's 4 weeks. Every day you get an email from me with information, videos, tasks. It's all like, drip fed to you. So that's bit by bit. Yeah. Every Monday you get a live 1-hour webinar with me where I'll talk about the subject. I'll answer your questions. We'll do some practical things, which can be quite fun. So the week 1 is an overview of the industry. A week 2 is your voice and how to take direction, which is super important. Week 3 is all about home studios. So we take you through the whole home studio and setting up. And week 4, which is my favorite, is all about how to get the work. It's a really fun course, and you go through it together as a group so that you have that community as well. You have a Facebook group. And at the end of that, you get a little party. We do a little party at the end. So it's a lot of fun. So
party, here we go again. So it's more drinking, more socializing.
I know. So
tell us, what's the offer?
So the offer, it's normally $275, right, which is £204, which are, just to be honest, is a bargain, because you're getting 4 weeks. This is your foundations in getting started in voiceovers. But what we're going to do for you guys, because you're awesome, is we're going to give you a 15% discount. So which is awesome. So yes, all you need to do is use the coupon code VON complete. So VON complete.
Okay.
Now, also just yes, the link is in there. Just to jump in as well, I do want to say that I recognize what it's like for anyone who's watching this who maybe is struggling. And I know there's been the pandemic and all that sort of stuff. And I was a struggling actor for a long time. So I get that. So what we can do for anybody who wants to do this course, who maybe is struggling, financially, we can do split payments. So all you need to do is, email workshops at thevoiceovernetwork.co.uk and just say you'd like to do this course. Can we set you up with a payment plan, and we can do that. There we go.
Fantastic. Okay, well, the links are in there. Just go and check them out for yourself, guys. So thank you. So can we get on to some questions now? Would that be okay, Rachel?
Definitely.
And actually, I think we may well have answered some of these already. But Brian Garner, hi Brian. He says, hi Rachel, I have all the equipment and I've been told that I have a very good voice, but I'm stuck and wondered what is the first step I should take. Well, I think we've sort of just answered that, really, actually.
Yes, absolutely. I would say, do jump on a complete guide to getting started in voiceovers. That is the best thing you can do, because it really is a comprehensive, because the thing is, yes, there's information out there and you can go along to webinars and you can read books and things like that, but this workshop, because it's live as well, so it's 4 weeks, starts on the 18th of October, I'll handhold you through. I'm there to help and support you, to answer your questions. The other thing about doing something that's live, which I think is really useful, is that you'll be there in a group and other people will ask questions that you need to know the answers to. but you don't know that you need to know that. So I just think there's something really magical in doing a workshop in a group and doing a live workshop, because yes, you can sign up to things and do them as and when, but this is live. Yes, you will get the emails, you'll get all the information, you will get the recording. So if there were any sessions that you couldn't make or you got behind, that's absolutely fine. It's not a problem. You can still access it all, and you can still get all that information. But yeah, definitely I would say sign up to a complete guide, and you will love it.
Brilliant. So Adam Knight asks, are there agencies for voiceover artists? Which yes, even I can tell you that bit. But what he does ask, and this is actually interesting because we haven't touched on this, what kind of things would they be looking for, qualifications, etc.? Now, is this where show reels come in? Is this where actually everything's based around your show reel? Maybe you could explain a little bit about that.
So it's show reel, voice reel, demo reel. There's sort of any one of those you can use, and here in the UK we tend to say voice reel, show reel. In the States it tends to be demo reel, just and that's your voice, and you tend to have a commercial. So commercial voice reel is the most important one to have, and then the next one would be a narration, and then you would want to do something that's the genre that you want to go in. So if you wanted to do animation, you'd have an animation. If you wanted to do audiobooks, you'd have an audiobook. So yeah, video games, you'd have a video game one. In terms of getting an agent, it is tricky. It's a tricky thing to get, unless you have a very, very unique sounding voice, or a unique skill. Let's say you can speak Arabic or Hindi, or you have something that's different. And not to say that if you're a regular, nobody's got a regular voice, but for instance, my category of voice in the UK is a very popular category of voice. So what you really want to be doing when getting an agent, so first of all, if you're early on in your career, I would say that is not your focus. Your focus is getting work. The most important thing is when you're starting out, is to do the training first. So do the training before you get a voice reel. So you do the training, then you get your voice reel done. Then you want to get a website set up. You want to go and get work. You want to get some clients, so that then you can go to an agent and say, here are some clients, because they need to trust you. They need to know that you can deliver, because it's a big thing when an agent takes on talent. You're representing them. And so they need to know that you can do the job. And I think that the big mistake that I see all the time, and voiceover artists, I made, was that I just wanted an agent. So I was just like, I'll have an agent. Who can I have? Anybody? And they can smell that a mile away. They can smell that a mile away. So you need to do, as I said before, you need to do your research, and you need to choose them. So I would say hone it down to 5 agents, and then you want to go to them with a business proposition. You want to give them a business proposition, and you send them your voice reel. You tell them about some of them may ask for a CV. I don't know many voiceover artists who have kind of CVs. It's more your voice reel, but tell them about work that you've done, and tell them about work that's coming up, and tell them the genres that you want to work in.
Can I ask then, the courses you talked about earlier that you're doing deals on, do you talk about the voice reel in there, and how the best way to put it together, timings and all that sort of thing? Yes. It's like a band demo. They don't want to receive a band demo with 15 songs on that are all 10 minutes each. So it's the same, I would guess, in the voice world. Okay, definitely. Brilliant.
And so you get much more information in the course, guys, by the way. So.
Yeah, cool. We have lots of questions, so I'm gonna have to rush it along a little bit. I do apologize. So Irene Silver, how do you care for your voice besides hydrating in general, and during long hours of recording? Good question. And actually, Katrina Mayfield asks something similar about voice routines and how do you look after your voice?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, so water. I have this with me all the time. I drink a lot of water. I'm constantly, and it needs to be room temperature water. That's really, really important. In terms of looking after your voice, I do vocal warm-ups every day, and that's really, really important. Again, on this course, I do go in and I'll take you through a vocal warm-up, and I give you lots of things that you're able to do. But vocal warm-ups are really important. For one, they protect your voice if you're in a long session. And for two, they actually increase your range. So they make your voice stronger. Things like breathing, breath control is so important in voiceovers. And so, yeah, so vocal warm-ups, sometimes warm downs as well. So if you do have a long session, or if you're in a session doing video games, you know, I've done video games where I fall out of an airplane, I get stabbed, you burn to death, and you have to make all the sounds, and it's a lot of, you know, you do get vocal strain, and you have to be very aware and have to be confident enough to tell the director when it's going too far and say, I need to stop. So if you're in a session and you feel, you know, that you're struggling with your voice, take a break. Like the director never wants you to lose your voice. So take breaks. Warm-ups, drinking lots of water, stay away from dairy. Sorry, guys. But yeah, dairy is not good for the voice. Alcohol is not good for the voice. Smoking is a big no. But you know, some people you still have to sort of say yes, no to drinking, no to tea and coffee before a session, before a session is not good, because it dries out your vocal cords. If you do have a sore throat, hot honey and lemon with some fresh ginger, that's the best thing. Be very careful about anything that numbs your voice. So it is, you know, it's a tricky one in the voiceover world, because if we get sick, if you get a cold, you know, the first thing is your voice that's going to be affected. But if you numb your voice and then you continue to work, you can do damage. So you just have to be aware of that. And the other thing to really be aware of is that if you do have a cold and you've got that lovely low sultry sound, and you go and do the voiceover job and you don't tell them, or you don't tell your agent, or you don't tell the client, and you do the job when you've got this, and they think, wow, my gosh, you sound really, this is fabulous. Then you get better. And then they ask you to come back to do retakes. You cannot recreate that voice. So just need to be aware, if your voice does change due to illness, that you need to inform your client. And sometimes you have to let jobs go if you're not well. But so there we go. But be healthy, eat lots of vegetables, lots of fruit. Stay away from dairy, and you'll be good. So
chocolate and beer is okay though, isn't it? Clayton Coke says, hi Rachel and Dave. Thank you. First time somebody said hello to me as well. I've been told that I have a nice voice and have my own studio. How do I work out what I have to offer, and how do I go about offering my service professionally? And if I was successful, could I make a living, or at least a side hustle? So let me just jump in there for a second, and I mean, some of this we've covered already, to be fair. So if you have your studio in place, great. Obviously, you can get into that work straight away. And we talked a little bit about the voicing and the sort of voices that you can, or the sort of agents you can go after with a particular sort of genre or voice, which is good. But what's interesting about this is, you know, if there was some success in there, you know, can this be a side hustle? Can this even be a living?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. You can do it full time, but you can also do it part time. It's a wonderful job that you can fit in around other things. And I think for me, you know, years ago when I became when I wanted to become a mum, you know, I remember I was an actor and I was doing, you know, going off on tour and stuff and doing voiceovers. And I remember thinking, no, voiceovers, that's it fits in around everything else. So yes, absolutely. In terms of kind of knowing if it's for you and how to, you know, research and workshops. I would say, you know, come get involved with the VoiceOver Network. Come along to our webinars. We do, as I said, we do a VoiceOver Hour live webinar every Wednesday night, where I interview different industry experts. So this week we've got Debbie Derryberry, who's the voice of Jimmy Neutron. She's in Rugrats and Toy Story and all sorts.
Okay.
And so that's really useful to come along and hear her. Also come along to, we do workshops, online workshops, where you get to read scripts with amazing teachers. So you get to try different areas, so animation, video games.
So they're likely
coming up on dubbing,
they're likely to pin something in your voice as well, then I would guess, if you're these guys. Okay, that's interesting.
And a big part of voiceovers, just to jump in, a big part of it, and it's great having a lovely sounding voice, but it's about having the confidence. Now you can't hide behind your voice. So if you're feeling nervous, we can hear it. If you don't believe in yourself, we can hear it. And so it's really
thanks.
It's important that you have the confidence and you feel, that you understand how to use your voice. And that comes through training. That it's training. And there's experience, training and experience and practicing. And you can just listen to commercials, write them down and record yourself on your phone and play them back and listen back to yourself. And it's very important to kind of get used to hearing your voice as well. So there we go.
Okay. Sarah Wood asks, how do you start to get voiceover work, and what equipment do you need for your home studio? Well, I think we've covered what you need to do to get the work. Just to recap on the home studio, really, to start at a decent level, you need a decent audio interface. And I think we've already spoken about the Audience ID4. How much is this, guys, the ID4? This is £117, which is not a lot of money for the quality. These are high-end mic pre's, are very good. Of course, a decent microphone. You can spend pennies on a microphone, or you can spend literally thousands of pounds on a microphone. We've already recommended the Vocaster, which I'm using here, which is usually £149, but there's a deal, as we said, there's 30% off of that. Maybe the guys will put that back in the group again, so you can have another look at that. Quality cables, do not scrimp on your cables, because it literally, your studio is only as good as your weakest link, so to speak. And of course, a good area to record in. And
headphones.
Decent headphones as well, of course, headphones. I mean, a standard is usually Bayer DT770s. Maybe you can put a link in for the DT770s. But there is with headphones, you can spend as little or as much as you want, much like headphones. Much like microphones. So but we'll put a few links in there. And of course, if you want help and advice, just call us at Studiospares, and we will take you through it. And depending on your budget, of course, we'll help you through that home studio setup. So anyway, so let's move on to
just jumping in. Sorry, in terms of getting voiceover work, I mean, I go into that. There's a whole week dedicated to that on this course. It's very difficult to kind of go into it. We haven't got a lot of time in terms of where to get voiceover work. There are lots of different places. Marketing, you can go out and get the work yourself. So yes, I would definitely say do the course, and I will explain all on the course
all that stuff.
How you get the work and where you get the work.
Beautiful. Are you okay for a few more minutes yet?
I am, yes.
Right. So John Proudler asks, he says, presumably a dynamic mic has a much lower output. So for VO work, you need a very low noise preamp. Well, actually, this is a dynamic, and I've actually got, if I can place over here, you can see I've got a mic, a small inline mic pre on the back there. That is is there one in there? No, is there one out anywhere? Sorry, it's basically a small unit that goes in the back there, and that gives a 28 dB boost, if I remember correctly. Is that right? Hey, I've just got extra points.
Very nice.
I'll give you an additional 28 dB of gain. And these are used with SM7Bs as well as the Vocaster and various other mics as well. So that is a good way around the preamp question. How much is the FET pre at the moment? 49. The guys will put a link in there for you, John, so you can go and have a look at it. And again, got any questions, just call the boys. Right. Oh, so Robert Balderson, hi Robert, says, I'm interested in making up a portfolio. However, I'm not entirely sure where to get started with it. I also have a passable audio setup. However, I'm concerned about background noise. Are there any affordable means by which I can better isolate and improve the quality of the sound I record? Let me answer the second part of that, Rachel, and we'll go back to you for the first part, if that's okay. Again, as we were just talking now, without knowing your actual setup, Robert, it's hard to say which part can be improved and so forth. Noise can come, or the background noise can come from all sorts of different sources. That might be cables, it might be your interface, it might be the mic. So I would highly recommend you give us a call, which is 0208 208 9930. Rob will put that in there for you now, and just talk to any of the guys here. And you're not committed to buying something. You can ring up and ask a bit of advice, and the chaps will happily take you through it and just make sure you're doing the right thing as well as having the right gear. So I hope that helps, Robert. So
I
just
jump
go back
in
to
on
the
that.
first
Just
part of this.
sorry. Let me jump in on that bit, just because I'm not a technical person. I'm an actor, very much an actor, and I share this with people because I believe in getting started with what you've got. And when people say, I live there's noise and stuff like that, I like to share how I started my home studio, which was a while ago. I had pillows and duvets over my head. I was on the corner of a very busy junction.
Was that due to stress, or was that
protection? But yeah, I was under the flight path for Heathrow, one of the busiest airports in the world, on the corner of a busy junction, an ambulance station down the road, a bus stop outside, and I did manage to record national TV commercials, documentaries, video games. I even had a producer come to my house at one point, and I would like peek out of my duvet. Now, yes, there is much better equipment now, but I do say that to people because I know that people can put barriers in their way as well to stop them, be like, oh, I can't do it because, but if you want to do it, if you want to give it a go with voiceovers and you want to make this happen and you want to, then there are ways, and Studiospares will be able to help you.
Yeah, and as I say, we're here to advise as well as sell. So don't just call us and we'll go through anything for you. Yes. Robert asks, this is an interesting one. Is it a good idea to produce several different demo tapes for different disciplines, e.g. audiobooks? So one for audiobooks, one for characters, one for educational software, etc. Yes. What's your advice? Right. Okay.
Yes, basically. Yes. I mean, the thing is that, voice reels are super, super important. And I stress the fact that you need to get them made professionally and they need to sound amazing. They need to sound like these are actual spots on TV or in video games. But they can, it tops up.
Yeah.
And actually just, I know we've got some Americans watching, just to let you know that it's quite a lot cheaper getting voice reels made in the UK. So, if you can do it remotely, just a little tip for you. So you need to start out with the first one is commercial. That's the most important because that's where the most amount of work is. And if you want to get an agent at some point, so getting a commercial voice reel is super important, and then a narration voice reel. So those are the two kind of, they're your staple. And then from there, yes, you want to get voice reels made for the genres that you want to work in because they are very different. Again, use what you've got, but if video games is your thing, get a video game reel. If audiobooks is your thing, get an audiobook reel.
Absolutely.
Corporate, there are lots of different reels that you can have, but you want to have the ones that you want to be working in, and yes, the more specific you can be, the better. But I understand that finances, do what you can do, and as the more work that you get, it's gonna increase.
I'd also suggest again, because I know there's a lot of people here with studios and home studios, you can also offer that as a service. You can do that for voiceover artists. You can put these reels together for other people as well. So hey, another source of income. Anyway, Rachel Allison Burke asks, do you think sites like Fiverr and Upwork are a good place to get VO work?
No.
Ooh.
Sorry, no. The answer is no. Reason being is that it's cheap, and if you start on something like that, you're setting yourself up in the low world, and yeah, it's just not a good place to be hanging out.
Okay. No,
you're gonna have terrible clients, and it's just not gonna be great. Yes, you need to get started, I totally get that, but there are sites out there that will take advantage of you, and those clients will take advantage of you. So the best thing to do is to do the training, put the time and the effort in to make sure that you are the best that you can be and that you are ready, and then you go out and get your own clients, knowing that you are going to charge them a decent amount. And yes, I know that people start out and they're like, okay, well, if you want to start out and get experience, go to companies like the listening books. In fact, that's where I got my first ever job, was the listening books, and they do books for the blind. You know, RNIB, companies like that. If you want to get experience, there are ways that you can do stuff for charities that is good experience, and then nobody's going to be taking advantage of you.
And then I suppose that's then a gig, isn't it? Then you can use that within your reel, and then it's great experience, right? Okay, excellent. Very, very good. Totally understand. It's so easy to get wrapped up in that gig economy, and I mean, happens in the music world. The times that musicians, you know, are told, you know, come and do the job for, you know, the gig for free or for a fiver at a pub. You know, somebody will be there that will, you know, that will pay you more for a gig. Well, you know, what's the point, really? So anyway, so, okay, another good question. It was something I was going to ask you earlier, but Ian Wolsterholm has beat me to it. Is there a preferred software package for VO files? I'm not quite sure, if you mean for the editing or the delivery. I suspect you mean the editing. Let's start with the editing. So, what do you use for editing your files?
So I use Adobe Audition. So that's what I use, and I think it's fantastic. I know Hindenburg is also brilliant, and Hindenburg is a partner to the VoiceOver Network. So when you join the VoiceOver Network, you get a nice discount on Hindenburg. And then there is Audacity, which is what I started off with. Audacity is free, very, very basic, and to get started with, absolutely fine. But if you're going to be doing audiobooks, and you know, once you start, okay, fine, but then you will want to progress to Audition or Hindenburg, depending on what. And
also, I think again, because I know there's a lot of musicians, you can also use Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase, any of those software packages that you may have in place already. That you know, ultimately, it's capturing the file. You will still have the EQ, you will still have the dynamics, you'll still have all of those tools within the. In fact, I would probably suggest there's more in those doors than there is in Audacity and so forth. But there is plenty out there. So that's good. And Steve Watts asks, how do you go about setting your rates? This is a great question, actually. How do you go about setting your rates? We've tried using industry standard rate cards, but the jobs offered never seem to equate. Really great question.
It is a great question, and it's the bane of our lives in the voiceover industry. Quoting, it's just, you know, still to this day, you know, as a voiceover artist who's been in the industry for 20 years, it's still like, oh, can you just tell me what your budget is, and then we can work from there. In terms of rates, it is difficult. You know, there are rate cards out there that you can use. There's a company in the States called GVAA. They have a rate card that's quite good for a rough idea. Equity in the UK, their rates can be kind of low for some jobs, so just be wary of that when you look at their, you know, I much respect to Equity, and I am an Equity member, but just be wary of that. talk to other voiceover artists, and when you become part of the network, that's a really great way. You form friendships with other voiceover artists, and you guys chat to them, and that's a really good way, because we have to be very careful. I have to be very careful about what I say about rates publicly because of the competition laws, which is why equity struggle with setting rates and things like that, because of the competition laws in the UK. So we can get in a lot of trouble for saying what you should and shouldn't be charging, which seems completely mental, but that's the law. Whereas in America, there's much more freedom to be able to talk about rates. So yes, know that yes, every voiceover artist finds quoting tricky. I do think if you can ask them, I mean, I've always been a fan of saying, what's your budget? That's I always go back with, what's your budget? Do you have a specific budget? And then the classic thing is they come back and say no, and then you give them your price and they say, well, it's not in our budget, and you're like, well,
what's your budget?
yeah, exactly. They do, of course. They've got a budget, but sometimes you can be pleasantly surprised. You'd be thinking, oh, okay, maybe this is a couple of £100, and they come back and they say, oh, we've got £500. You're like, oh yes, sure, okay, yeah,
I can squeeze that one in. Yeah.
So sometimes and then sometimes they come in and they say, oh, it's going to, we've got £50, and you're like, okay, I'm out. And don't know your worth. It's really important in voiceovers to know your worth. And when you're, people think, oh, and someone will say to you, oh, it's only going to take you 10 minutes. You're like, no, it's taken me my whole life, actually.
It's taken me 20 years.
I agree. And all the equipment and all the training and everything.
So can I ask you something then? If I was a VON member, and I'm not pushing people here, but within that network, do VO artists ask each other, listen, this job's come in, what did you do, where did you pitch it?
Absolutely.
Right, okay,
absolutely.
So that's part of that support network we were talking about earlier, I suppose.
And people share jobs, like they pass on jobs as well, which is wonderful. And so nice. I mean, some of the best places to get voiceover work is from other voiceover artists, and at the VoiceOver Network, we've got this safe place that people feel that, because you're often in the studio with a director, and they say, oh, do you know a northern male or an American, between 20 and 30-year-old, or they'll ask you as a voice in the studio, and you'll go, oh, I'll just go onto the VoiceOver Network, and find somebody. So
okay. And there are some real accents in your group. Even when I've been on your meetings, you've had people from all over the world: Brazil, America. I think there was a couple of Aussies in there at one point.
Yes, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, we have members all around the world. So Japan.
I've got one more question for you, which and then we've gone through them all. So and I'm really glad that we've managed to go through this. So thank you for your time as well, Rachel. I know it's been maybe a bit of an extended one this evening, but anyway. So Jill Penfold asks, do you offer one-to-one classes?
Me personally.
Yes. I'm sure it's not
okay. So yeah, I know, one-to-one. So that's an interesting one that you say that, because I have done, and I have had I do occasionally do a workshop. I do some workshops, but last year I did a workshop which was called the VoiceOver Business Super Boost, and I'm really passionate about teaching about business and mindset and marketing and all that kind of stuff, and goal setting and just making stuff happen. I truly believe in all of that. And so the VoiceOver Business Super Boost is something. So if you are interested in doing training with me, there is something in the works.
Okay.
There's something that's happening in the background. So that's quite interesting that you've asked that. So the best thing to do would be to email alan@thevoiceovernetwork.co.uk and tell him that you're interested in one-to-one training with me, and we will put you on a specific list. So if any of you are interested in working with me one-to-one, it isn't something I don't, I don't do one-to-one coaching per se, but I am creating something that's very exciting if you were interested in working with me.
I would also say as well that the great thing with your setup is they may get to work one-to-one with you, at least on a specific project or whatever. I'm not going to say anything, but you have all these other amazing VO artists as well, which is really quite, and casting directors and all sorts.
Yes.
So it's brilliant.
Yes.
So
Disney casting directors coming and working for us, and we've got a dubbing casting director working for us next week who's doing workshops, and it's a wonderful, the workshops that we do are a wonderful opportunity for you to learn, to train, to play in a safe space, to gain confidence, to meet these amazing people who can cast. And it's also great for them because they get exposed to incredible talent. Now, we can't guarantee anything, but we're putting you in contact with people that are useful. So there we go.
Yeah, of course. Well, if you've got Disney casters there, see if you can get me a job as Cinderella. I would like to.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, I'll do my best. So look, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Rachel. It's just been absolutely amazing. I've learned so much, so I'm sure everybody on here tonight has learned a lot as well. So again, I think we've put everything out there. We'll probably put a mail out tomorrow with all the links again.
Wonderful.
Can I just, one other question, which I didn't ask, on the offers that you've made, is there a time limit on them? How long have we got to jump in? So that's a very important question.
That is a very important question. So the joining for free, that will last for 48 hours, guys. So that coupon code will last for 48 hours. So don't hang around. There's nothing stopping you. There's absolutely nothing stopping you. You don't have to pay anything.
Yourself.
Yes. So just sign up, come on board, get involved, see what we're all about. If it's for you, fantastic. If at any point you decide it's not for you, all you do is ping us an email and there's no problem at all. It will go on to a rolling monthly subscription, but honestly, it's nothing when you see what all the amazing content that you get. So and then the complete guide, that will last for 48 hours as well, but just be wary that there are limited tickets and they are going quite quickly.
Spaces.
So limited spaces on a complete guide to getting started.
Is that because it's sort of quite concentrated, and I suppose if you have too many people, it's going to be diluted and you're not going to get the benefit of the so course.
You all get feedback from me. So everybody on that course will do a recording, and they will get feedback from me, and there's all sorts of stuff that we get. But if it's over a certain number, it kind of gets a bit crazy, and I like to speak to everyone. So when you do a complete guide, you will get a chance to talk to me, and it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Yay. Well, listen, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Rachel, and good luck to everybody out there if you're going to get into voiceovers, and go and see Rachel. Of course, we are here, Studiospares. You know how to get hold of us. You know where we live. Just email us, phone us, and if you're unsure or want more on anything that you've seen tonight, then just contact us and we'll do our best to help you. Rachel, thank you very much indeed. Everybody else, look out for the next webinar. Is that confirmed yet, guys? Can I say? I've just got a
Ooh. Oh no. Oh, and social media, guys, feel free to follow me on social media, Instagram stories, Twitter,
if it's working,
all that sort of stuff.
I know. Working.
I know, and Facebook. That was so weird, wasn't it?
I know. Do you know, I didn't even realize it was that. It was that.
I was trying to do a Facebook Live, and I was like,
"Oh, were you?"
At the time, and I kept turning my phone off and on, and I was like, "What is going on with my phone?" I thought it was my internet, and then I was like, "Oh no, the whole world has gone down." But yes, Instagram is still working now back, and Facebook is kind of, I think, but there we go. So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel,
and good luck, everybody. Take care, everyone. But thank you.
Good night. We'll see you soon.
Take care. Bye.